All right, it's Monday, April 15th. Oh, crap, it's tax day. Tax day. Other than that, it's TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday, except for the fact that it's tax day. Anyway, this is the first trading video update I've made in a little bit. It's been a wild vacation, let me tell you. So it looks like the last time I made a video, at least for the Zero DTE project, was on 3/18. I can't believe that. Almost a month ago? God, what have I been doing? I've just been like slacking. So 3/18 was actually 3/19. Okay, that's a lot better. There we go. I'm not that big of a slacker. 3/19 was the last trade I made. And if you've been following along with me on this thing, this is a Zero DTE project I started back in December, and I was not expecting it to do very well at all. I mean, we were trading credit spreads just with specific type of entry signals. And I had done these before. I mean, I've traded tons of credit spreads, and I even tried weekly. I did weekly credit spreads and also Zero DTE credit spreads and butterflies and a couple other types of Zero DTE trades, but I didn't enjoy it. They were always, I always felt really nervous and stressed out. The thing was moving around so quick. I just didn't enjoy trading it, so I stopped. And so I didn't really have high hopes for this when I started back in December, but I said, hey, this might be a good way to make some YouTube content. I can just take a random Zero DTE credit spread strategy, trade it every day and record the whole thing live, and then just kind of see what happens, see how the results. And the results turned out really good, way better than I expected. And I kept doing it month after month since December. So December, January, February, to the middle of March. And I was scaling along the way, and it took a little while here for the thing to get to the point where I could start to scale. But once it scaled to 2 contracts, the thing just took off, and it was alarming, kind of scary how fast this thing scaled, and scaled up quick. Couple losses in here. I had 3 losses in a row. These are all documented videos. You can go back and you can see the whole sad story. Well, it's not sad. It's great actually, but there's some twists and turns in it. So there was this here on the beginning of February. I had 3 back-to-back losses in a row, which was the first time that it happened. And it was also like the biggest loss, the biggest $840 loss, followed by a $690 loss, where before that all the losses were about $100 or so. So that was sort of I call it my come to Jesus trading moment. I took a break because it kind of like messed with my mind a little bit. So I took a trading break, then came back in. Everything started back where we started from. Things were looking good. Just kept on scaling up. We got up to the part. We got up to a place where we were. I was scaling. Let's see. I had like how many contracts? Oh, here we go. 16. So I had 16. I got up to 16 contracts, 20 contracts. So at 20 contracts, and look at these runs of wins. That's kind of like what caused me to have my come to Jesus moments. We had all these winners in a row while we're scaling up. And then all of a sudden we hit a loss at the expected amount, but the loss is way more than the previous loss, so it kind of like messes with your head a little bit. So I got up to 20 contracts. At 20 contracts, we were making $1,000 a trade, which is nuts. And we kept scaling. We scaled up to 26, and then I had my next loss. And these losses aren't like out of the ordinary as far as the amount of contracts I'm doing. These losses are in line with the risk management plan, which was anywhere from between 1 to 2 times my expected profit. So this last one here on March 19th, I was trading 26 contracts. And at that point, I was trying to manage the trades in such a way where I'd have a 1-to-1 risk reward. So if I was expecting to make $1,000 on a trade, I would let my loss go to about $1,000 and then I'd get out. Or with slippage, it's going to be a little bit, but definitely under two times. I didn't want to go over 2 times the profit amount on a loss. So on this one here, I think I was looking to make, I think it was $1,300 on this trade, and it moved against me really fast, and I was scrambling to get out. And I got out past my $1,300 that I was initially trying to get out at, and I finally got out at 2,210, which is still in the acceptable range. That's less than 2 times. 2 times the expected profit on that trade would have been 2,600. So we got it at 2,200. But again, these big numbers that happen when you're scaling up and winning, and you keep scaling, winning, it's just bound to happen that the number is going to be a big number when you finally do have your loss, which you are going to take at some point. So before then, my biggest loss was like $980. And then I had this string of winners, and that loss there was 2,210, which again, it's a big number, but it's in line. It's not being mismanaged. It's just it's a shock to the system when you've been having losses under $1,000, and then all of a sudden you have a loss of 2,210. So I decided to have my come to Jesus moment too there, and so I took another break. And these breaks that I'm taking, they're super productive, I think. For example, so this last one, I was just planning to take like a week off or so, a couple days to a week off, just kind of get my head together and get my mind right, kind of hit the reset button, get a new perspective on the whole thing. And it's something that, I mean, maybe it's obvious to everybody out there, but here I am, 50 some years old, and this concept is just kind of like the greatest thing since sliced bread to me. I mean, it's so obvious to just take a pause, pull over to the side of the road and take a break. And I guess take a break with purpose. That's the thing. Take a break with purpose. And the purpose was to clear my head for a few days, back away, look at the big picture, and then see if there's any changes that come to mind or things tweaks we can make to improve it. And so that's what I did. I backed away, I looked at it. And so overall, the strategy is phenomenal. The results, even with these losses, it's ridiculous. So we've made $17,770 profits. We've lost 8,895, and so for a total, when you subtract the losses from the wins, we can wind up with a total of $8,875, and that's with a starting capital trade of like $500 or 410. So 410 was what we started with, and then we on December 6th. So like in 3 months, we scaled up $410 basically to a total profit of 8,875. Which if we do the math on that, pull up my calculator. So we say 8875 divided by 410 equals, so that's 2,164% return, which is just ridiculous. I mean, it's laughable, except it's real. I mean, if you watch all the videos, you'll see this thing play out in real time here. So that was the first thing, to back away, take a look at the picture and say, oh yeah, so the strategy is phenomenal. And how can we tweak this thing, or how can we continue with this trade without getting into these get your mind right scenarios where I get nervous and I kind of start to doubt myself, and all those like bad trading, scared money thoughts start creeping into your head. So what can I do, if anything, to improve that? So I went to work on this last little vacation here, this trading sabbatical. So not only did I just stop, pull over the side of the road, I kind of got to work. I took a big fresh look at the whole picture, and then I got to work seeing if there was anything I could do to fix those problems. And the main problem is that we may be scaling too fast. So there's a couple other of scaling methods I'm going to be looking at going forward. And one of them may just be like just to scale up in chunks or scale up in ladders. For example, instead of increasing every time we win, maybe stay at a number of contracts. Like, let's just, for the fun of it, just say 15 contracts. Once we hit 15 contracts, I won, so we immediately went up to 16 contracts. So maybe create a system where, once I hit a certain number, like 5, 10, 15, 20, I stay there for some amount of time, and then I progress up to the next ladder. I kind of stay at that level for a little bit to just kind of level out, stabilize, and not get that dizzy feeling from just climbing so fast. And the other thing is these losses, the stop loss problemo with these trades. So like I said, I changed to from a 2 to 1, risking 2 to make 1 management system, to risking only 1 to make 1. So if I was planning to make 1,000, I would allow myself to lose 1,000 and then get out. And realizing that there would be a little bit of slippage in there because I'm doing it manually, I'm watching it, and once it gets close to that number, I have to decide to pull the trigger. And then once I decide to pull the trigger, it's very likely that it could have gone a little bit past that amount, so it's a little bit more than 1 to 1, but it's basically in the same ballpark. And so that was the plan going through here. But you can see on this trade, the plan was to make $1,300 on this trade. And the loss that I wound up taking, because it was moving so fast against me and I wasn't as nimble and as quick on the trigger as I wish I was, you can see that it went significantly past the 1 to 1. The 1 to 1 would have been a $1,300 loss. Maybe with slippage, like 1,300 or 1,400 would have been acceptable, but it went to a 2,210, which is a lot more than the 1,300. So that's a problem with this trade, the management, the exit management, and the ability for these trades to get out of control. So on this come to Jesus moment trading vacation that I took, that's something I wanted to address as well. I wanted to address the scaling issue, and I wanted to see if there's a way to fix this. And so I went to work, and way back in the day, I had this old trader friend who really helped me a lot. Super cool guy. And I called him, and we went out and we met, we talked at lunch, and I kind of ran this whole scenario through him. And he gave me some really cool ideas that I came home and I started to back test like a madman. And so basically for this whole vacation, I've been back testing this similar but different strategy to this. And the basic setup, the basic premise is exactly the same. It's just done in such a way, built and managed in such a way that I would say pretty much totally eliminates this issue, the stop loss slippage issue, and has a lot of other perks to it as well. And it's super cool stuff. And I'm still doing the finalized testing on it, so it's not ready for prime time yet. But that is where this looks like I'll be heading with this. Some of the cool things about this is that the return on investment is way higher than even this one. This one is fantastic. So for this one, I think like on an average winning trade, if everything goes as planned, I'm making about 12% per trade on a winning trade, 12%, which is ridiculously good. However, with this new system, the one that I'm like ironing out the details and back testing on right now for this, we can make up to 50% per trade, which I know sounds unbelievable, but once you see it, you'll see what I mean. It's totally legit. It's definitely possible to make more than that, but I would say like over like a series of trades, I think the average win would be about, another cool thing too is it can take way less, significantly less capital. I can actually put one of these trades on for $50, which is super awesome, especially for like newer traders or traders who just want to get started real small and kind of test the thing out with live money before scaling big. So it can be done with a low amount of capital. And let's just say that if we're risking $50, if $50 is our total risk on one of these, the average return is about 50%. And if you want to be conservative, would be 20%. So it moves, so it changes the ROI, the potential ROI from 12% as to how this is right now, how the strategy was up until I stopped trading it, 12% per winning trade. This one will be 20% or better per winning trade. And another super cool benefit of this new trade, of this new version of it, so let's call it the Zero DTE version 2.0. Another super cool thing with this is the loss management. So with this one, the way that we were trading it, we had a management plan, but it was kind of a manual. It had to be manually done. And if there was a super quick move in the market, it's going to be hard to hit that one-to-one risk reward loss thing. This one eliminates that problem. And of course, you can still lose, but you can lose significantly less. You can set up trades where you'll know at the beginning of the trade what your max loss really will be. And with a couple of super quick, easy adjustments, it can be far less than that and potentially even zero. So it creates a situation for the trade where I'm always expecting to have losses. With any strategy, you expect to have losses. But if I can turn all of these losses that I'm expecting to have in less than 1 times my profit target, and even a majority of them into scratches with the same sort of a win rate, that's like the ideal. That's perfect. It allows for dynamic morphing. There's a couple of really super cool morphs that are like pre-built into the trade that can be triggered. So if you get into trouble, or it's just, if you not even in trouble, if you just get into a certain situation, win or loss, or even break even on a trade, there's a quick way to kind of flip the whole thing like a kung fu move. You can morph it into a completely different looking strategy where, like I've talked about it before, like those videos where I talked about the towers, where you have a trade that's above the zero line. Worst case scenario, it's above the zero line, and then there's like these profit towers or these floating butterflies, like similar to the anti-gravity trades, except these trades aren't multi-expirational. They're all in the same expiration, so there's no curved lines. And more importantly, the curved lines basically mean that there's the potential for drooping and for the risk graph to change. And this way, with them all in the same expiration, that whole problem with a changing risk graph or a transforming, like a drooping risk graph, gets eliminated. So anyway, that's just a really super fast update on where I'm at with the Zero DTE trade. So what I'm doing right now, I'm still back testing it. I've been like playing around with this for the last couple of weeks and doing some heavy duty back testing, and I'm starting to do some real money trading with it today. I did my first real money test trade with it today in my account, and the trade was a winner. So that's what I'm doing with the Zero DTE. So the Zero DTE trade is looking like it's going to be slightly modified. And this first version of it is totally valid still. It's fine. As long as you just understand what the risks are. And the major risk with this at this point, the major problemo with this is this trying to manually manage the losses. So if the thing moves hard against you, trying to get out at a reasonable trend, it's almost impossible to get out at exactly a 1-to-1 when you're doing it manually, especially in a quick, fast moving market, which is just the nature of trading these types of spreads. But if there's a way to fix it, which I think this new modification, the 2.0 version does, that's way better. So potentially higher return per trade, way better control over losers, and even the ability to turn losers into scratches, the ability to need a much smaller amount of money, like $50 to get started with, and the ninja kung fu aspect of it, where these things they're built in such a way where they can be easily transformed and morphed into a bunch of different cool looking crazy risk graph creatures that can amplify and or lock in profits on a trade. So keep your eye out for more info on that. Today's trade was the first live trade and it made about 25% profit, and that's just in one day. That was just a couple hours. So that's the state of the zero DTE trades. Extend and look out for that. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is how I'm planning to move forward with these videos. During this vacation I had, I sort of also realized that I didn't really like getting stuck into one trade for months on end. I mean, it's cool, the idea. I like this whole project idea that I had going here. So just like trying this strategy out and just following it closely for 3 months. But I think 3 months is a little bit too long for what I'd like to do with the channel. So what I'm thinking of doing is call it like a trading lab. And like I'll take there's a bunch of different option strategies and zero DTE trades, trading ideas that I have that I want to test out. And I'm thinking that this would be the perfect place to test them out at, so we can all benefit from it. You can see it all happen here in real time. So I think going forward, what I'm going to do is start to test different trading strategies, like either every week a new one, or maybe every 2 weeks a new one, or maybe even like one a month. Like I'll take one of these new strategies that looks like it has a lot of potential. We'll trade it live and put it up here on YouTube like we've been doing. And then we'll just run it for have a limited time frame on it. And at the end of that month, let's say we do it for a month. We trade it live for a month. At the end of that month, if the thing looks like it has legs and it could be a real legit strategy, everything looks good, then what I'll do is I'll just move it over into what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of potentially, I'm playing around with the idea of creating a mastermind community, sort of a place where we can all congregate and talk about these trades and other trades and see what everyone's doing, see what's working now. And that would be sort of like where these trades would wind up at. So I would test a new trade idea out. If the trade looks like it's working and everything looks like it's all legit and there's really potential there, then at the end of that month, I move it over into the mastermind and either fine tune it or just start trading it in there. And then on the YouTube channel, we'll flip over to the next strategy that tests. And so we'll just do that like every month, like say a new trading strategy idea every month after month. Some of them probably won't work out and they'll just get thrown out, discarded in the trash. But the ones that do, look like they have a lot of potential to them, will go into the mastermind where we can all trade it in there. So I'm not sure about that. That's just kind of a crazy idea I had on the trip. It's just an idea I'm playing around with. And if something like that sounds interesting to you, just leave in the comments. I'd be really curious to see if something like that type of a scenario would be of interest to any of you, my loyal YouTube subscribers out there. But regardless, I think that I don't want to get stuck on just one trading strategy for, like years, just the same thing going on and on. I want to keep it fresh, mix it up. And so I think doing a new trading strategy every month is the way to do that. All right, so that's it. Today's Monday. I'm back in the saddle, getting my daily videos back up and running again. If you'd like to follow along with me on any of the trades I'm doing, just be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel below. Hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to join me on my website. I'll leave a link to my website in the description below. Just click on that link, go to my website, join my free email newsletter. When you join that, you'll get a welcome email from me. Just reply back to that welcome email, and I'll get back to you, and we'll go from there. All right, that's it for this one. See you next time.